How are you?
Living the dream.
Yeah.
So, okay. I will say why I couldn't join the live last night.
Yeah, what happened?
We spent the day in the desert in Utah. We were doing four-wheeling and stuff with my husband's work, and so we kind of got trapped out there because Josh had a little bit too much to drink, and I have never pulled a trailer before, so he had to wait till he was good to drive. And it ended up being almost like 9:30 before we
really?
could leave. Yeah.
Dang.
So, we're safe, we're good,
Yes.
but we can blame Josh.
Well, it's not a big deal. I don't think so. Oh, sorry.
So, Katie, what's this live for? What are we doing?
Oh, yeah. So if you are, what's the word? A big fan of ours, and you know that our episode 20 was supposed to air today, and
I didn't.
and I'm blaming April for jinxing us because literally in the car she was like, what if, like, because we're in this area, like, what if something just goes wrong with the audio and, like, we have issues later on? I'm like, yeah, that would suck. Well,
Yeah.
and then I procrastinated, so I guess it's a lot of my fault too. So I procrastinated until Friday night to edit the damn thing, and I realized that our audio got cut off after 25 minutes of us recording. So all you really heard was us, like, just bantering. Yeah, it wasn't really even an intro. It was just like us, like, driving, being like, oh, so what do you want to eat? I'm like, oh, we need gas, and, like, not much to it. Sorry.
It was the aliens, really. If we want to blame anybody, we can blame them because it wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
We didn't turn off the recording.
No.
It just happened.
Right. So this is going to be the intro to our episode 20, and so we're basically re-recording right now. You guys get to be part of the live for just the intro, and then we're going to turn it off, tell our stories, and then I'm going to edit this probably tonight and hopefully get it on Patreon, or not Patreon, on, Spotify and places tomorrow. That's the goal.
Us crossing our fingers because, I'm sure everybody really cares that we don't have an episode coming today, Leo.
I don't know, though, because, like, every time we do publish one, we have listeners within the first, like, hour of us publishing it, so.
Which blows my mind because it still surprises me that people listen, even though it's like a small group, but it still surprises me in general.
Yeah.
So thank you for those who wake up at the butt crack of dawn on Sunday morning and listen to our episodes. It's super nice of you.
Yeah, for real. I imagine, I don't know, I either think that they're waking up really early or they're, like, working a night shift and they're like, well, I have nothing else to listen to. So.
Or they're in a different time zone, which makes sense.
Or they're not, like, in the bubble that we live in.
Or they're not in Utah. What?
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I have to tell you something.
Oh.
I have a new pet.
What?
That is not domesticated.
A raccoon?
No.
Oh.
It's a bird.
A skunk? Oh.
It's a bird.
A hummingbird.
A hummingbird.
Yeah.
Did you see my video I posted?
I did.
He's so cute.
I've never had a hummingbird feeder, and I've always wanted one.
Yeah, they're so easy.
Yeah, I should get one.
You should.
Do you hear the birds all up in my business over here?
I do.
They're really noisy.
Your birds are a lot noisier than my birds.
Yeah, it's because we have these gigantic trees all over the place, and they just...
Did you want to just poop?
No.
Oh.
Cooper just... Never mind.
Okay.
My dog.
We'll just
Come here.
fill in the blanks with your facial expression. Okay.
Oh, we both have bowls of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Cheers.
Yeah, a regular sized coffee is like, what, 6 ounces?
Or something.
That's not enough.
What is in yours?
Oh, it's hot chocolate. You know when
you're
you
not-
microwave it and, like, it gets all, like, crusty on the sides?
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to microwave it with the chocolate in it. I think you're supposed to... No, you heat up the water, and then you mix in the mix-ins of the hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what I do is So I set the timer for a minute. And then at 30 seconds, I take it out. So, okay, it's just water in the beginning. And then I microwave it for 30 seconds, take it out, put the powder in, stir it up, put it in for another 30 seconds, take it out, stir it up. Then I put in my creamer and my syrups, stir that. Then I put it in for another 30 seconds, depending on how hot it is. It's really like a taste test at that point.
It sounds really complicated when you could just heat up the water and put the stuff in it once the water is hot.
It doesn't taste the same.
But then you don't get the crusty chocolate on your cup.
I can just wash it off. It's not a big deal.
But then you're missing the chocolate that could have been in your water to make it chocolatey.
It's still great. I don't feel like I'm missing out.
We're going to have to agree to disagree. I disapprove of the way you make hot chocolate. That's all I've got to say.
That's fine. Do you put creamer in yours?
I haven't had hot chocolate in a long time. I just have coffee with, my coffee to creamer ratio is 70-30, and 70 is the creamer.
I used to be like that, but it just got, after a while, it just starts to taste just like creamer, And then you get sick of it, and then I'm like, I need more coffee. So now I'm almost a black coffee drinker. I'm almost there.
That means you're almost in your middle ages.
I know. That means I'm almost really old.
Yeah. If you could drink black coffee, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. To me, it's the worst tasting thing in the world. But I feel like once you reach a certain age, then it becomes more acceptable.
So we have a commenter, and it's from My Favorite Burger Pod, and they agree with you, April. They said that you definitely need to heat the water first.
That's what I'm saying.
I really don't think that it's necessary. I don't.
I think it is.
I don't.
My favorite burger pod. Okay, well that brings up a topic. What is your favorite burger?
Me or them?
In Utah. You, because I can't ask. I mean, I guess I could ask them.
Yeah, tell us what your favorite burger. We should probably just listen to their podcast, April, because then that would tell us.
No, we should, because then we can actually know the answer.
Right.
Well, but I want quick results. Just tell me what your favorite burger is.
No, we're gonna check back. Don't you worry. They might have left. Who knows?
They might have, because we ignored them for much too long.
Anyway, what's my favorite burger? Do you want to know what it is? One that I can scarf down. The one that I can just scarf down every time, no problems, no questions asked, is the mushroom Swiss burger from Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle.
Arctic. Arctic.
Arctic.
Arctic Circle.
Yep.
I have to say that's gross, because Arctic Circle, I feel like, is the lower tier of quality.
It is.
In fast food. And you would pick their Swiss burger, mushroom Swiss burger, over any other burger you can get anywhere in Utah.
Yep. Here's why, though. Can I explain why?
I guess.
What they do different compared to other people, which I'm like, it's not for everybody. But what I like is that their burger is smaller. They don't go overboard with it, because okay, if you go to JCW's or wherever and you get a mushroom burger, they make it that freaking big. Do you think my mouth can stretch over a burger that big?
Just do it like our dad does and shake your head.
Oh, okay, hold on. He responded. Okay, hold on. I say he. I don't know, she. I don't know. I'm sorry. I assumed gender. They responded. Okay, so each episode they share their favorite burgers, but they're not always burgers in the way you think. And then he agrees, yes, mushroom Swiss is good. Oh, but they would say to throw in some avocado. And they also agree a huge burger is not the way to go. That's the thing, is that will turn me off from a burger so fast. If it is too big for my hands to even hold, I'm taking shit off of it. Do
you want to know my favorite burger that solves your problem but also is way better than our Arctic Circle?
What?
Five Guys, the little burger, the little cheeseburger, so the kid size, and you put mushroom and Swiss cheese on it. That's what I do. And it's small enough that it doesn't make me feel gross. And it's the best burger. They make them right there, so you know that it's not freaking question meat, like freaking Arctic Circle. I can't say Arctic, it's bugging me so bad.
But
they
put signs up saying it's real.
That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything at all.
It would be false advertising, right?
Yes, but do you know how many people or places actually false advertise most of their stuff? Like, if it's not required, I'm going to say all the wrong things because I know nothing about anything. If it's not required by the FDA, nope, I don't know, one of those acronyms.
Somebody in charge.
Required by them to like even things that are supposedly like gluten-free, if they're marked gluten-free, they're not always gluten-free. You have to look at the nutrition facts to confirm that it's gluten-free, because anyone can slap gluten-free on it.
But that's lying.
No, but it happens, because we're in a world full of liars and cheats and all those.
Well, April, what is your favorite burger?
I just told you.
Oh.
Five Guys, little burger with mushrooms and Swiss cheese.
Yours is also a mushroom and Swiss?
I love mushrooms on anything.
Wow. I didn't know we had the same favorite burger, just in different places.
But I refuse to accept your answer.
I think that you ought to try it.
I can't. I will assume that it's not really hamburger meat. Because it's from Arctic Circle. I don't think it's real. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess there's no way to find out. How would you find out?
I don't know, send it to a lab.
Like, this is real meat.
Like, can you test what kind of meat's in this? Like hot dogs, I have a really hard time eating now because it's all question meat.
Yeah, it's just like meat. It's just like, it's like meat Play-Doh. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's just like anything that kind of like falls in the thing and they make a wiener out of it.
Yeah,
there's even like rat meat in there.
Rat meat?
Yes, because the rats get in the machines. I can't eat hot dogs. That's what I'm saying to you. It freaks me out.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, it is.
Well, there was something else I was going to tell you, April. I can't remember.
That's too bad. Should we start our episode?
Yeah, let's start our episode.
This is Gumby.
Oh, such a sweet puppy.
No, he's not. He's a serial killer. This dog, I caught freaking playing with a baby bird yesterday, and I hated him for like 30 minutes after that. I was like,
a baby bird?
Yeah, and then there's this pooper.
Oh, that's Goopy Poops. He's such a sweet puppy.
Look at him.
Oh, he's so cute. Come here, Lala. Do you want a cameo? Oh, look at you, Lala. It's Lala girl. Okay, now we need Philly. Philly, come say hi. Everybody's saying hi. Come here, Philly. He has a toy he wants to show everybody. Come on, Philly. Come on. He's so sweet. Come on. Come on. He's shy. Come on. Come on. Oh, look at your Pikachu.
Oh, look at him. Oh.
Look at your sweet Pikachu. Look at that bubble. You recognize the voice?
Hi.
He's like, what?
Oh. Okay, we got to work now. Get away. Okay. Well, that was fun.
Get away. Yeah, dogs.
Flirt to my face.
Okay.
Anyway.
So I'm redoing the horriblest thing. Just kidding. It's not. Well, it is horrible, but I guess I shouldn't rank how horrible the murders are, you know?
They're all horrible, yeah. But you have to redo it.
Yeah.
You know what, though?
I don't know if you have, but I have not reviewed my notes. So we're going to go off just pure notes today.
Yeah, sorry. It's going to be like I'm reading you a book report.
It'll be fine. It'll be great.
I think I remember this one pretty good. Okay. So my story is more recent than the other ones I've been doing. Well, I guess I've kind of mixed it up a little bit, right?
Yeah. There was like a 2017 one or 18, right? Or is that this one?
This one is 2017.
Oh, okay. That's probably what I'm thinking of then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my story is about the brutal murders of Brelynne, Otteson, goes by Breezy, and Riley Powell. So I got my information from ksltv.com, getparkdaily.com, BuzzFeed News, Gen YPod, Everpedia, Salt Lake Tribune, and CBS News. Okay. So Brelynne, who goes by Breezy, and Riley were 18 and Breezy was 17 and Riley was 18, and they were just young, in love, dating, kind of, high school, like, infatuation, I guess. They were really close, and on December 29th, 2017, they were on their way home from Tooele to go back home to Eureka, Utah, where they lived with Riley's grandfather. But they never.
And isn't that drive like through the desert?
Yeah, it's like pretty.
Because it's like in the back.
desolate.
It's like on the back side of the mountain, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So like anybody who isn't in Utah, like on one side of the mountain is just desert. There's really nothing. Yeah. And on the other side of the mountain is like the Salt Lake Valley or like Tooele Valley or Utah County. Like it's like there's valleys that have cities in them, and then the valleys that don't, it's just desert. Yeah. So if you're trying to get from one small town to another small town, you're usually driving through just straight road of nothing.
Yeah.
So
anyway. They were visiting Riley's mom in Tooele, from what I understand, and for Christmas and stuff, So on their way home from that, they didn't make it. They were reported missing by family on January 2nd, 2018. For months, the family and police searched for the teen couple. And on January 11th, the Jeep they were driving was found by the Department of Public Safety. It was near the Cherry Creek Reservoir on a road hidden in trees, and the Jeep had 2 flat tires. The windows were all rolled down, but Breezy and Riley were nowhere to be seen. On March 28th, 2 bodies were discovered in an abandoned mine near Salt Lake County.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, anyway. So the bodies appeared to be a male and a female, both in their teens. Both bodies had their hands bound, and the male had multiple stab wounds, and the female's throat was cut. It was later identified that these bodies that were found in the mine shaft were those of Breezy and Riley.
That's so sad. And so that was like, what, 2 weeks? In 2 weeks' time, basically is. So when did they visit their mom?
So they were on their way home on December 29th. And then their bodies were found March 28th.
Oh, March. Sorry, I thought it was February. Sorry.
Yeah, so about 3 months.
Oh, 3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have my timeline all mixed up.
That's okay. I'll correct you.
Okay.
So the mine shaft went as deep as 1,800 miles into the earth, but the bodies were discovered.
Wasn't it 1,800 feet? We had this conversation last time.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, but maybe it is miles. I don't know anything about geography, maybe. Or geology.
1,800 miles deep. I don't know. Maybe, that just seems really, really like to the moon, like I don't know.
1,800 miles.
What? Okay. Do you know, was there a name to this mine shaft? Or
Yeah,
like
but I don't remember it. Hold on a sec.
How deep is the typical mine shaft?
Okay, hold on.
The deepest mine is 2.5 miles.
Okay, so 1,800 feet probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said miles, but that was incorrect.
Okay.
I
We're
want to
good.
like look at the actual article, but it's not pulling up because I'm in my backyard in the corner, and so it like doesn't want to. Anyway, okay.
You're fine.
So the last place they were was at Twilla's house.
Yeah. Because they only have one. There's just
only
one community house.
Twilla is a person. Okay.
Yes.
So the last place they were seen was in Tooele, Utah, at Riley's mother's house. Police got a search warrant for her home, but they didn't find anything to suspect foul play of any kind at that home.
Wouldn't that be so horrifying? Like having someone leave your house, and that was the last place that they were like checked in at, you know?
Yeah, you're going to be a suspect.
Yeah.
You know? And you can't, I mean, of course you would be a suspect, and you would hope that they would look into you knowing that, like, you know, like it'd be stupid if they didn't look into you, but like also how scary, because like it could be if they
like
don't
what if they just find like what if they just find something that was coincidental, you know?
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck? I've never owned a knife.
Or like what if one of them had a bloody nose in the bathroom or something, you know, and then they are gosh, I don't know.
No.
I mean, it's probably more complex than that. A lot of things make me anxious.
But remember our conversation from episode 1 where we're just not going to invite anybody to our house.
Oh, right.
Especially if we think they're going to be murdered. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Where was I? Okay. Investigators later discovered that on Riley's Facebook, he was messaging a woman named Morgan Lewis Henderson, and she was 34 years old, which kind of a weird age to be friends with teens, just my opinion.
Yeah.
On their way home, they stopped at her house in Mammoth, Utah. And they just hung out and smoked weed together. And that was the plan, to get stuff from her on their way home.
Okay.
So on January 25th, so a couple days before they went missing, wait, what? Nope, not the, I made a mistake. Okay. On January 25th, 2018, almost a full year after they went missing, Morgan was interviewed by police, and she claimed she never saw the couple.
Wait, you said January of 2018?
Yeah, so the whole year after they went missing.
Or would that be 2019?
So they went missing December 29th, 2017. Or that's when they left Tooele.
Yeah.
2017.
And then the 18 is when they're found. And then a year later it would be 19.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it's 2019. Hi, okay. I don't know how to make notes.
You're good. I'm just like so focused on the timeline. So I want to make sure I want to make sure I'm good.
I'm confused. That's why.
No, you're fine. It was me. I'm just hyper focused in on your story.
No, guess what? I'm lying again.
Oh.
It is the 2018. It is.
So just like a.
So
okay, so before they were found.
Yeah, before they were found, after they went missing.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I haven't read this story in a while. Okay.
You're fine. I'm good. I am following.
Okay.
So you're good.
As long as you're not confused, because everybody else that would listen to this story, if they're confused, I don't care. They'll figure it out. Or they won't, and they'll hate the story. That's fine. Okay. Okay. So on January 25th, 2018, a month after they went missing, Morgan was interviewed by police. She claimed she never saw the couple and they never showed up to her house. But after extensive questioning by the investigators, she admitted they had visited her, but she didn't know where they had gone after that. She's like, well, they left and I don't know where they went, you know?
Yeah.
But each time they interviewed Morgan, her story would change. On March 25th, Morgan was pulled over for speeding and arrested on possession of drugs and weapons as a restricted person. She felt tremendous guilt and told police the truth of what happened to Breezy and Riley. So here comes the horrible.
So she was pulled over for something unrelated.
Yes.
And she used that opportunity to be like, something else I have to tell you guys.
Yes.
I see.
Was under the influence, but the guilt had gotten to her.
Yeah.
And you'll hear where her headspace was at in that time. So I'm going to kind of be going over like a summary of what happened and then going back into detail of like what's going on. So just hold your horses.
Yep.
So she said her boyfriend, Jared Baum, had come home when Breezy and Riley were visiting. He was upset, freaked out, and lost his mind that Morgan had a guy in their house. He lost it, and she told police that Jared had murdered them. March 27th, just 2 days after that, whatchamacallit?
Interview?
Yes. Thank you. Hey, it's right there in my notes. Okay. I'm struggling really bad. I woke up like 30 minutes before we did this. Okay.
Me too. I woke up at 8:30 and I was like, I bet my hair's fine. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I got to shower.
Well, I showered last night and then like I went to bed with my wet hair. And so it looked like absolutely insane. And so I had to straighten my hair and then hurry and get all this stuff out here. And I was like, well, this is how today's going. Okay.
Fine.
Okay. So March 27th, Morgan led police to the bodies in the mine shaft in Utah County. It wasn't Salt Lake County. It was Utah County. I remember needing to rewrite my notes for that reason. Okay. Shortly after, Morgan was arrested for suspicion of obstruction of justice. Suspicion of obstruction of justice for initially lying. I know it's hard. For initially lying about knowing where the teens were. In April of 2018, Jared Baum was charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of Breezy and Riley. And they tacked on some other felonies as well. Morgan was also charged with 2 second-degree felony counts of obstructing justice. In 2019, Baum pleaded not guilty and waived his right to a speedy trial. During this time, Morgan made a deal with prosecutors that for her testimony, she would get lesser charges. So Morgan testified as to what actually happened on December 29th. And this is where there's a lot of details. So if you're cool with just knowing that there was a bad thing that happened and you want to move on, now's the time to skip forward. Okay. So she tells the following story in her testimony. Jared was upset, of course, that she had a guy friend. He was jealous and upset and had previously told her if you ever have a guy in her house, you know, he's going to lose it. So he said, quote, I told you couldn't have guy friends. And she was worried that he'd be violent, but she said his anger completely turned off and he was charming. So he was like losing it. And then he like switched it off and then was just fine and normal. But he calmly like grabbed her a jacket and some gloves because it was in the winter, right? And he had them all get into Riley's Jeep and started driving to the West Desert. Baum apologized to the teams for the inconvenience, but the car was silent. they knew the guy was like in a weird
Unhinged.
headspace.
Yeah.
Yeah, unhinged. Sorry, the wind is probably going to make audio weird.
I can barely hear it. You're good.
Okay, I don't know if
I heard it a little, but it wasn't bad.
Okay, cool.
I'll let you know if it's really bad. I'll make you start over.
Okay. So they were kind of like, the car was weird. It was intense, and he was like, sorry for the inconvenience, and he's just driving Riley's Jeep with them in the back seat, and so they're like freaking the hell out.
Oh, wait, I don't think I ever like put that together that he was driving their car.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he dumped their Jeep after.
Right.
Right. So,
wait, then how did he get back?
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Riley's Jeep.
They would have to have taken 2 cars.
Unless they did dump the Jeep later. Like they went back to the house and then
grabbed a second car and went back.
Yeah.
Maybe. Huh.
There's a hole in this story and it's probably my fault. Okay.
No, it probably just wasn't that big of a detail.
I mean, I guess it kind of is a big detail. I just don't know the answer to it. I just know what's in my notes because it's been so long. Okay.
No, you're fine. I'm going to be doing the same thing when we get to my notes. Being like, wait, what does that mean? I don't know. So it'll be fine.
Okay. So Morgan said that she didn't realize that her friend Riley and his girlfriend Breezy were bound and gagged until Baum put the Jeep in park and at the foot of a cliff. So once they got out of the car, she realized that they had their hands tied and couldn't talk, but
yeah.
Wow. He had them get out and started walking the teens into the dark. She said, quote, I thought I was going to die. So Morgan thought that she was
part of it,
that she was also on her way to being hurt, right?
Yeah.
Breezy apparently asked Baum to untie her and that she was pregnant, and all he said was quote, we're almost there. Boink. Sorry. Okay. When Baum stopped walking, they were at the gaping mouth of the mine shaft. This is where his charming demeanor had disappeared. He forced Morgan and Breezy to their knees, and Riley asked if he could kiss his girlfriend one more time. Baum started to beat Riley and call him names, but Morgan soon realized that Baum was actually stabbing Riley. She heard a gurgling noise and Riley yelled, quote, I'm dying.
Oh my gosh.
Baum waved, goodbye, Riley, you piece of shit, and pushed his body over the edge.
Oh my gosh.
Breezy was crying and pleading with Baum, saying, quote, I promise I won't tell anyone. And he replied, quote, it's okay, darling, and started rocking her. He went behind her and was rocking her. And then Morgan remembered feeling a warmth on her leg and realized it was Breezy's blood. Baum had slit her throat and pushed her down the mine shaft after.
Oh my gosh.
Baum began trying to cover the blood by pushing dirt around, and Morgan testified that he said, quote, like lambs to the slaughter, they didn't even fight. She said he looked manic, high, and overjoyed. She said that he told her the next time that she started to cry about Riley that she should think about her son and if she wanted to see him grow up. Baum then bleached and burned their clothes afterward and hid Riley's Jeep. Morgan said that she felt so much guilt and she felt responsible. She thought if she told the truth to authorities that her son's life would be in danger, so she went to the mountains. She took mushrooms with the intent to kill herself. That's when she was pulled over for speeding, with possession and driving erratically, right? She said one of the officers said, quote, the truth will set you free. And she realized she wanted the families to know what had happened. So it's like divine intervention almost, that she was pulled over in time for, otherwise they would have never found them.
No.
Would have never found them. But it's just so sad that she was instead, like I felt like I couldn't tell the truth, so I had to I had to die with the truth or
With
else.
them.
Yeah. But luckily she told the truth, and honestly, like, I feel like it's hard to say that if you tell the truth, you know, everything will be okay and no one's going to come after you, but you just never know. And that's the fear of people who know things and people who like are victims of things and they're threatened, you know, it's scary to tell the truth, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So a judge decided that there was enough evidence to move the case forward to trial. The trial was moved to 2020 and delayed again due to COVID. So March 7th, 2022, can you hear the honking?
Barely. No, I can't hear it now.
Now there's freaking crows. Everyone's sabotaging me and my story. Okay.
I can't really hear anything, so.
It's like, it feels like it's right in my ear and I'm hyper aware of all the sounds that are going to F up our audio because I'm like having issues. Okay. March 7th, 2022, so just earlier this year, the trial for the murder of Riley and Breezy begins almost 4 years after their murders. Let's see. Prosecutor Ryan McBride said, quote, he retaliated against Riley and Morgan and made her watch so she would know this is what happens when you break his rules. Much of the prosecution's case was based on Morgan. What in the world? Sorry, something happened to this paragraph. Okay, much of the prosecution's case is based on Morgan's testimony, which was questioned by the defense. Attorney Dallas Young said there was lack of DNA evidence linking the slayings, but that's because Baum had bleached and burned the clothes.
Yeah.
He said, you can't believe Morgan and you cannot be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. They questioned her sobriety, and that's why she's not trusted. Prosecutors originally sought the death penalty, but Utah County Attorney David Levitt later took it off the table because he had vowed to no longer pursue capital punishment. So Levitt said Friday, let's see. I don't remember what Friday this was. Sorry. So Levitt said that more resources were used in this case than any other in the history of Utah County. While a conviction like this will never bring back neither Riley nor Breezy, I hope that today's guilty verdict will in some measure begin the healing process for the victims of this crime. Levitt said this following the verdict. He said also, quote, my heart goes out to the victims of this crime, their families and friends. They have gone through an unspeakable ordeal.
Yeah.
On April 13th, 2022, so just last month, after closing arguments, the jury deliberated and ultimately found Baum guilty of 2 counts of aggravated murder, first-degree felony, 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, a first-degree felony, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony, and 2 counts of abuse. 2 counts of abuse or desecration of a dead human body, a third-degree felony. Sentencing is scheduled for June 1st, which is next week.
It's on Wednesday.
Yeah, and prosecutors will be seeking life without the possibility of parole. And I will make sure that I follow up.
Yes, please.
Breezy's obituary said, Breezy loved her family and friends, and she had a larger than life personality. She enjoyed listening to music, parties, baseball, gymnastics, swimming, being outdoors, and most of all, spending time with her family. Riley's obituary said, quote, Riley truly loved life to the fullest, enjoying dragster racing, basketball, off-roading in his dad's Jeep, driving fast and always looking for the next adventure. Riley loved his family, pets, and he loved Breezy. Riley brought joy to those around him with a shy smile and quick wits.
Oh, that's so
Sorry.
sad.
It's really upsetting that like these two young lives were lost because of a crazy, jealous domestic issue. Like they weren't even a part of their relationship. They were visiting.
Had nothing to do with anything.
And because the simple fact that they were in that house and that Riley was a male, and honest, he had a girlfriend with him.
Right.
So like if the issue was jealousy, like that was enough to say, oh, he's not here for my woman, but yet it's still
my woman was the third wheel,
right.
you know.
So like the fact that this insane human put together that this male is in the house and it's a threat to him is absolutely insane. To the fact that he would reach the conclusion that this is the only what am I trying to say? The only solution to his problem is to remove these people. And Breezy literally had zero things to do with his manic craziness, but
and she was pregnant, right?
Yeah, well, she said that before she was murdered. We're not sure. I don't know if she really was or not.
Yeah.
It wasn't in any of the articles I read, just that she said that. And I don't know if that was I'm sorry.
I'm remaining.
But I don't know if that was like just trying to get sympathy so that she could save her life, or if it was true, I'm not sure.
Right.
But it just goes to show that Morgan was in a very controlling and domestic, like psychologically violent, abusive home with her partner. And I'm not saying this as good as I did last time, but
you're doing great.
If you or anyone you know is a victim of domestic violence or psychological abuse by a controlling partner, there are resources locally and nationally. The Utah Domestic Violence Coalition you can reach by calling 1-800-897-LINK. It's 1-800-897-5465. They provide free and confidential support for victims and survivors of domestic and intimate partner violence. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. And that is the story of Breezy and Riley's murders.
That's very sad.
I know. What a bummer.
Where they were from? Eureka?
Yeah, they lived in Eureka with Riley's grandfather, and they were visiting Riley's mom in Tooele.
I see.
Yeah. Sad.
That is so sad. Like it like you were saying, like it's just so frustrating that none of it had to happen.
No.
Like it was just this person who flipped,
Yeah, and I don't know if it was, I don't think it was in my notes anywhere, but they believe that this probably wasn't the first time he's done that. It was probably the first time he's done that to innocent people, but they believe that he could have been violent towards others, and just they haven't put the pieces together with them yet.
Wow. That's insane.
Well, my coffee is cold now.
I know. I was going to drink my hot chocolate, but I'm like, it doesn't even look hot. Right. Well,
So,
are you ready for my part 2?
Yeah. What we should do, because this says remaining meeting time is 7 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because it says I'd have to upgrade to pro, but I don't know.
Oh, we can just do another one.
Do we stop this and start a new one?
Yeah, let's just do it just to be safe.
Okay.
Okay. Then now give me a second to get my notes up.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear
There's
me?
thunder.
Really?
Yeah. I'm so excited.
I just like looked. I'm like, can I hear it from here?
Probably
Probably
not.
not.
Oh my gosh. It might start downpouring, and I, no joke, will be the happiest person alive.
Yeah, the clouds are really thick over here too, but I don't hear any thunder.
Does your weather app say that it's going to be thundery?
Not thundery. It just said that rain is coming. It's
Oh.
very like dramatic the way it says
Rain
things.
is coming.
It says rain coming, possible rain this afternoon.
Well, that's,
Oh, breaking news, a hurricane approaches Mexico.
oh no.
Oh geez. Well, yeah, my phone just says it's just gonna rain.
Mine says it's going to be lightning and thunder.
But you're like right next to the lake, so
Yeah, so that makes
Wonder
our
if
weather
that-
really weird.
yeah.
Like, we don't get a lot of snow when other people get a lot of snow, which is really weird. I don't
Right.
understand lake effect at all, but that has something to do with it.
Right. I don't know either. So
We're like, I don't know anything about this. And we just sit there and look and ponder for a second. Don't be good.
okay, well let me get my notes back up here. Hold on. All right. So this is a part 2 to my Skinwalker Ranch story from last episode. I haven't actually looked at my notes since we recorded, so this might be a little rough, and I hope it.
It's okay.
is-
Mine was rough too, but people are just going to have to understand.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man. One issue with my notes though is that it just says recap. And because I did it like in the moment, I was able to like recap. So if you want to recap, just go listen to episode 19 because I don't remember everything that I talked about because my part 2 isn't really just about Skinwalker Ranch. It's about the whole Uintah Basin because the whole area seems to have some weird either paranormal or supernatural activity.
I feel like your recap had something to do with like them selling their property.
Yeah, that's where my notes start with
Oh,
this
okay.
one.
Okay.
So the recap is like the original owners, and then Sherry and Gwen Sherman is when like the real that's when things really started to become documented. Like that's when they started to say, okay, there really is something here,
Mhm.
and it's unexplainable. So eventually, Terry and Gwen Sherman, they decided to put their experiences into the local news. They also did this so that they could bring awareness to the property so that they could sell it.
Oh, okay.
So the Sherman family, they were reporting to the news that they were seeing creatures in the woods, entities out of their windows, and weird memory problems. They even saw mysterious crop circles throughout the property. On top of their animals being killed and slaughtered for no reason.
I have to say, crop circles freak me out. Like, there's no explanation. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you can say, oh, they did it, like some people did it, but it's like the design of a crop circle is, they can be so weird and like intricate.
You know what my theory is, and this is if aliens are real. My theory is, okay, if they're traveling to Earth from wherever they're coming from, they have to go really fast, right?
The rain
What?
is starting.
Oh, I heard the thunder.
If it's
Was that
too
thunder?
loud, no, that was Cooper
Oh.
jumping. But
Oh.
if it gets to be too loud, let me know.
Okay. Oh yeah, so if aliens were coming to Earth, you'd think that they'd be like traveling at really fast speed, right?
Yes.
And you know how like when meteors are like falling, they're burning.
Yeah.
So if their spaceship is going at fast speeds, maybe they have technology where it doesn't burn, but it's probably really hot. So when it lands, it's like burning into the ground.
I could see that.
That's my theory on crop circles.
I'm so happy it's raining. I'm so sorry. But yes,
I can't tell if your excited face is because of what I'm saying or because of the rain.
Cropsicle.
I'm like, that's a good thought, right? You're like,
oh my god.
oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that could be a possibility, but I also am kind of scared to even think about what it could be. I'm sorry, there's lightning.
I think I saw that.
Oh,
This was entertaining.
Yeah, my face is.
Are you going to be electrocuted holding a microphone?
Holding my microphone up like it's
Help what? Oh, hear the thunder?
That went on for like 2 minutes.
I can hear it.
It's still going. That was like a 2-minute freaking thunder.
Well, I saw the flash.
But did you hear the thunder actually, or was I doing that for no reason?
No, I heard it. Unless it's the wind, but it sounded like brrr,
Yeah.
like
But
my
it went on
stomach.
forever.
Yeah.
Okay, move on. I'm sorry. I might interrupt you 45 times, but
No, it's fine. It might make the story more entertaining. All right. So because of these stories, the property gained a lot of popularity because people wanted to know what was happening, right? So people wanted to know what was happening on the property, as well as the Shermans were trying to sell the property. So they were, I don't know if they were letting people come onto the property. I don't know exactly like what the dynamic was with all that. But basically, a billionaire who just so happens to be obsessed with supernatural and the paranormal, he gets word of these stories of what's going on the property, and he ends up buying the property. And this billionaire is named Robert Bigelow. So Bigelow, he figured he would purchase a ranch to not only investigate what was happening on the property, but to also have the location be a type of headquarters for all of his projects and like the research that he was doing. After Bigelow purchased the property, Terry agreed to hang back and be like a property manager because Bigelow wasn't a rancher, right?
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't someone who knew how to take care of the property. He just wanted to investigate it. He wanted
So was
to
he
research
like
it.
a scientist or was he just a businessman?
I think he was a businessman with like hobbies.
Expensive hobbies. Got it.
I think. And he had, he had all the money. So I think and with the documentary, which I haven't watched it in a while, I'm pretty sure that he hired the scientists with all of his money.
So. Yeah.
So he's not the brainiac. They are. So
okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Bigelow, he's not a rancher. He needed somebody to hang around and like take care of things. So Terry decided to be that person because not only did he want to help, but he was also curious about what they'd find, right? Mm-hmm. I already saw that. So before purchasing the ranch, though, Bigelow established NIDS, which is NIDS, and that stands for National Institute for Discovery Science, which is essentially a team built of some of the nation's most intelligent people who are also skeptics of the paranormal, and they just go around and research and try to debunk it or prove or like just say if it can be explained in any way. Was that lightning again?
Yeah.
Their whole screen went like white.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You probably can't hear it very good.
Do you feel safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, all it's going to do is shock the top of my deck here, and I don't care.
What if it shocks your microphone?
It won't. Look, it's just going to hit that stuff.
The metal roof.
It is wood, and all the wood would do is catch on fire, and I feel like I'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. You can run from fire.
Yeah, there's a lot of obstacles in my way. Like, I don't know, just stuff. Oh, I don't know. My uneven ground.
Oh my God. Okay.
I will probably just fall. It's fine.
Or just, yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. Sorry, let me figure out where I was. So before he purchased the ranch, he established NIDS, right? And it's full of a bunch of brainiacs who just go and research places or different phenomenon and try to get some kind of scientific explanation for what's going on. So the first year that NIDS is on the ranch conducting these tests, they're trying to get a basis for what is actually going on the ranch and trying to prove or explain the experiences that the Sherman family have claimed while they're living on the property. So Skinwalker Ranch became their next project.
Yeah.
And they were going off of the stories that they had heard from the Sherman family. They checked things on the property, like the plants on the property, just to make sure they weren't giving off like spores or toxic gas that could somehow affect like the way you think or whatever.
Like hallucinogenics or whatever that's called.
Exactly. So like, because that can, if you're hallucinating, then anything, could be possible.
Right.
They checked the water supply on the ranch to make sure it wasn't toxic for the same reason. They performed psychological assessments of the family just to make sure that they weren't having delusions, they weren't themselves just off. Over that first year, the team really couldn't find anything obvious to explain away the family's experiences, either environmentally or psychologically. Sorry, not physiologically. So experiences, either their environment or their psychological experiences.
Okay.
During that first year, they also didn't really capture any evidence that anything was going on the ranch other than strange lights off in the distance. So that first year, nothing happened. Like I said, they really only saw some weird lights, but nothing that they could really solidify.
Yeah.
After that first year, there was a day when Terry and Gwen were back on the property because Terry was putting tags on the cattle, and he asked Gwen for some help. As they were working together, one of the dogs began growling towards one area of the field that they were in, and when they walked over, they found one of the calves was on the ground dead and had been surgically dissected. The most frightening part of that story is that calf had just been tagged.
So
and
it
whoever
happened
did
in a
it,
split second.
Yes, it happened very fast. They also said that, or how they like described the calf is that the incisions were very precise and is very surgical. Like it wasn't like somebody just clawed it apart, it was like very precise, thought out.
Yeah.
And so whoever did it knew what they were doing, and they did it very, very, very fast and without anybody knowing that they were there.
Without sounds, without like
anything.
That's
just the dogs
so
growling.
crazy.
Yeah. Ugh. You know what it makes me think of?
What?
Alien, or is it Predator?
You know what that makes me think of? Aliens.
No, I mean, yeah, but like, because aren't they like invisible?
We're like, that's exactly what we've been talking about.
I just mean like the part in the movie where they're like invisible. Isn't that a part? I haven't seen it since I was like a teen, a young.
Oh,
young
the
teen.
Alien versus Predator thing.
Yeah, aren't they invisible?
I don't know. I don't remember. But they have that weird clicky sound, or is that Sixth Sense? Remember?
I don't remember. We're gonna have to go watch some movies.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen alien movies in a while, but there was one where it had like a weird clicky sound, and it would like, and that's how they knew it was there.
Wait, was that?
Or was that
Zathura? Was that Zathura, dude? Do you remember that alien show? The game board? I think they had clicky sounds.
No, that's not what I'm thinking of. It could be also what is it called? A Quiet Place?
Oh yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's what I'm thinking of. That clicky sound when it's like crouching.
I love how you're trying to do it.
I can't do it.
Okay. Well, I just thought of what if it was an alien that did it and they were invisible?
But I feel like they would have to do it in a split second still, like without the cow making sounds. So I
That's
feel like
true.
they have to literally take the cow elsewhere and bring it back that quickly.
Yeah, but it had just been tagged. That's the weird thing, you know?
So time travel.
More like click, you know? Like where he just pauses it,
Yeah.
they go do something real fast and they come back and unpause.
I'm trying to hide my chins from everybody. Sorry.
You're good. Are you freezing?
Um,
Do you need another blanket?
no,
Do you want to take an intermission?
I'm okay. I'm good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
I just wish my freaking coffee was warm.
Oh,
I ran
yeah.
out of coffee this morning, so I can't make another one.
I ran out of hot chocolate this morning.
What?
Hey.
What's happening?
I don't know. All right. So, where am I? Oh, yeah. So this calf dissected
Uh-huh.
and dead and also drained of its blood.
See, that's why I feel like it has to be, they have to take it elsewhere, else there would be a puddle of blood somewhere.
And what are they doing with the blood?
They're cloning cows for their own planet because they didn't have any.
They're like, humans really like these things. So
You know,
maybe we'll just.
They had a cheeseburger and they're like, we need those. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what it's for, I'm cool with it. I mean,
They're like,
kind of, I guess.
but would the blood be how you make alien burgers?
I don't know. I just was thinking clones. I don't know how you clone things. I'm not.
Oh, cloning. Yeah, that's right. DNA. Yeah, maybe. Maybe like one drop of blood is like a herd of cows. And they're like, we're going to be rich.
Yeah, we're going to be rich. Maybe that's where we get all our cheeseburgers. Because listen, I was thinking about this the other day.
The Arctic Circle beef.
It's alien cloned cows.
Yes.
They should do a whole like campaign of alien cow meat. But anyway,
Yes.
I was just thinking the other day how each like franchise makes hundreds, if not thousands, of cheeseburgers a day.
Yeah.
Where is all this cow meat coming from? You know what I'm saying? Because like if you think about the cow population,
Let's think about the cow population.
think about the cow population.
Okay.
How, like even in Utah, we do have like fields of cows and whatever, but like that can't feed. I don't understand how it's. I don't know. It seems like it's not possible.
Let me look up the approximate cow population in the US. There are 30.1 million beef cows in the United States as of January 1st of 2022.
Okay, but they make thousands of freaking cheeseburgers a day at one franchise location.
Well, how many cows does it take to make how many burgers?
I don't know.
This is morbid. I don't like this thought.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand. The only thing I can think of to make any sense of it is that the aliens are bringing us more cow meat.
Oh, like we have like it said imported goods.
Yeah, exactly. Imported goods. They're harvesting them for us because we have a cheeseburger problem in the US.
This makes sense.
We can't get enough cheeseburgers. So we've made a deal. And they're imported goods.
That makes sense. I can stand in that corner for sure.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm an idiot. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So anyway, this incident got the researchers somewhat excited because this was the first experience that they had on the property since they arrived.
Yeah.
And it was finally something that they could research. They immediately began searching the property looking for clues to what or who could have been doing this. As they were all driving around looking, sorry, I read that weird. As they were all driving around, they were looking and they observed that the dogs were acting strange and cowering away Sorry, I'm reading this really weird. Basically, as they were driving around, they noticed that the dogs were still acting strange and like cowering backwards, but still had their focus towards the wooded area. Terry drives over there and stops short of the tree line, and he yells out to everyone, "Look!" And just as they look over, they see a massive wolf-like creature, a wolf-like humanoid creature walking amongst the trees.
Like a werewolf.
Yeah, like a skinwalker. You said that last time.
Are skinwalkers and werewolves the same thing?
No, they're not the same, but werewolves, I guess they're very similar, though, because it's like a transformation into like a wolf-like thing.
Could be the same thing. They just have different stories behind them.
Yeah, you're right. It's very similar.
So werewolves are just aliens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You can't turn into one, I guess.
What if like all the like cryptids that we have are just aliens, like alien animals, you know?
Yeah.
That just got dropped off here. Like,
sorry.
Oh, is that the thunder?
Yeah.
Oh, I can see rain coming down.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, behind you.
Oh.
Like, I think it's dripping off that.
Oh, the
thing.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can see it. Nope.
I can't see. I just saw like drips. And I'm like, oh, it is actually like super raining over there.
It's raining pretty good. I'm surprised you can't hear it on my annoying tin roof. That's
no.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's not raining here yet. It's just, I feel like the clouds are just getting thicker and thicker. So I feel like whatever you have is just coming my way. It's very possible.
I hope so, but I love it.
Although I think the clouds are moving south. So maybe not. Maybe whatever I have is coming your way.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, but this is like my favorite weather to sit out here anyways. Like it's my favorite. It's
so peaceful.
Mm-hmm. It's a little chilly, but I prefer that over like it being super hot.
Yeah, same. Okay. So they see this wolf-like humanoid creature along the tree line, right? And he yells up to everybody saying, look over there. So they all look, they all see it. Terry whips out his rifle and he starts firing at the creature. So he starts like shooting at this creature and it just disappears into the woods. And remind you, this is with everybody watching. Like they all saw this happen. So the whole team, after the creature disappeared into the wood, the whole team fanned out and started looking and searching into the woods in search of this creature or animal or whatever it is. They find a set of large wolf tracks and they start following them. And just like the wolf from before and the cow from the last episode, this from episode 19. So just like those two creatures, the tracks went into the woods and immediately stopped. Then they began to smell a very strange scent, which I don't know if you remember this, but every time that something weird would happen on the property, they would have a really foul stench in the air.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So that's all that happened for that experience. They just found these tracks and they just stopped. And then they had that weird scent, you know? So for the next month, the team didn't find any other evidence of this creature or any other animals that seemed to be harmed, or the dogs weren't really acting. Oh, sorry. They didn't see anything weird other than the dogs were still acting weird for an entire month. They were too afraid to even leave their kennels. A few more months go by and Terry is working on the property again and he drives by a corral of 4 large bulls. Do you remember the story?
4 large bulls?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This was like the weirdest thing to me. So he goes to one end of the property and he does whatever task he needed to do for the day. And then he drives back to the other side of the property at the end of the day. And where those 4 large bulls were, they're now gone. They're missing.
Yeah.
So Terry glances over and he sees, so they're missing. So he panicked because he's like, 4 bulls is very expensive. If they had been stolen, that's not okay. If they've gone out, that's not okay. Like, no matter what, like, we need to find them because they are very expensive animals. So he goes up to the fence and he realizes the fence is still locked and the perimeter was still secure. And so there's no obvious explanation of how these bulls became missing.
Yeah.
So he's glancing around, trying to figure it out. He yells over to some other people that were working around and he was like, hey, we're missing these bulls. We need to find them. So he glances over and he sees this old trailer that had been parked there for years.
Yeah.
Just abandoned trailer that was sitting next to their corral. He went over to this trailer and he looked inside and he saw these 4 large bulls all inside the trailer. They were completely calm and they were completely still as if they were in a trance.
Oh, I remember this. It's so weird.
The weirdest part too is that the trailer was still wired shut as if no one had ever opened it.
See, that's like all the evidence I feel like you'd ever need. Like, especially seeing it, like, how could you argue that?
Right. I feel like I would be going crazy, you know?
Right?
Like, did I do that? Or did somebody else do that? Or like, you know, like, did that much time really go by? Or did I actually see them in the pen earlier? You know, like, I feel like I would question my own.
It's also a whole process to get bulls into a trailer anyway. It takes forever, right?
Yes. So that was my next point, is that one of the strangest things that they, you know, observed about this whole thing was that it would be pretty much impossible to get even just one bull into that trailer.
Yeah.
And even if they did, it would have taken them hours to get one bull inside. And they got all 4. So
maybe they gave them a bunch of CBD and just like they chilled out enough. But the wired shut thing is what is weird.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Super weird. So Terry, he calls over the scientists. He says, okay, something happened. Check it out. So they come over with all their equipment and they're trying to scan the area, trying to get like evidence of, you know, how it could have happened, trying to get some explanation.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that they could find that was different or weird about the area is that the poles to the pen or the corral that the bulls that were, okay, so you know the corral that the bulls were in originally?
Yeah.
The poles that were holding like the fences together were magnetized. That was the only thing.
Wood?
No, they're metal.
Metal, but they're...
Like, it was just like a regular fence pole.
Yeah.
And they're not magnetic.
They're not?
I guess. I don't know. I don't know. The research, they just said they became magnetized. So I don't know science. But
like they were a magnet themselves, not that like a magnet could...
I don't know, guys.
I don't understand magnets, but like...
It just said they became magnetized. Okay. So I don't know if that means it becomes a magnet or if it means magnets can stick to it.
Well, I feel like magnets could stick to it anyway. But like, if it becomes magnetized, I feel it turns it into a magnet so it could then stick to other metal things when it normally wouldn't.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Let's go with our scientific facts.
Yeah. All right, so things becoming magnetized, though, that was actually a really common thing in the property. Sorry, I'm trying to find my notes. It jumped. Magnetized. Okay. Yeah, so things becoming magnetized or the property having strange magnetic fields became a common theme amongst the property. So the team began using compasses to locate the magnetic fields. Because you know how like when it points north, it's because of the poles in the earth and stuff. Okay. So they began realizing that whenever the magnetic field was interrupted by something, they would begin to smell that strange odor. And then their compasses start to point in the direction of the smell. And in that same moment, they would get a feeling like they would get a feeling like they weren't alone and that they were being watched.
After several months of this happening, the needle on the compasses would turn itself back to After several moments of this happening, the needle of the compass would turn itself back to north, and then the smell would go away, and that creepy feeling of being watched would also go away.
So I feel like something's invisible.
Yeah. That's what
Like
makes me
something was
think.
there and then it wasn't.
Right. And like, what if the strange smell is like the burning of their craft landing,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Or they just stink.
Or they just stink. Yeah. In 1997, two NIDS researchers were standing up on the ridgeline overlooking part of the property, the part of the property that has a homestead on it. And when they were looking down onto this piece of property, they began to see a big, bright orange orb manifest down below.
Mm-hmm.
One of the researchers had an infrared scope and immediately pulls it out I'm sorry. I need to make this bigger.
You need glasses.
I almost wore my glasses today, but I was like, no, I'm just going to make my font a lot bigger because I keep losing my spot. Sorry. It's 11 point. I'm going to make it like 16.
I always make mine at least 14 just in case.
Okay, sorry. So one of the researchers, they had an infrared scope and immediately pulls it out to look. And when he looked, he saw this orange orb had a long oval shape to it, and they saw a black humanoid creature crawl out of what appeared to be a portal. And instead, as soon as its four limbs hit the ground, this creature began charging towards them. Terrified, they began to smell that horrid smell again, and as luck would have it, the creature ended up running right past them, almost 30 feet away. So they saw this like
it just ran past them, like it was just
right past them. Mm-hmm.
I don't
Isn't
know.
that weird?
Yeah, that is weird.
It's like, why? Right.
What's it doing?
That makes you think, like, what if that's like how they're getting like dropped off here,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe these skinwalkers are experiments of like, okay, I have a theory.
Okay.
Maybe these things that keep being dropped off to Earth are things that they're like mixing DNA, because remember, people have said that they've been abducted and operated on. So what if they're mixing human DNA with other DNA and making weird creatures and just like leaving them on Earth because they're like, oh, that didn't work. Have it back.
Yeah, like what if they're trying to make like a centaur or something?
Yeah, they're trying to make some kind of like. Oh, I just thought of something really creepy.
Like, what if they made mermaids? Like, what if they got a fish DNA, human DNA, and made mermaids successfully, and then dropped them off here?
Yeah.
And Bigfoot, like a bear and a human.
Yeah.
And then werewolves, wolves and human.
I really think that's very possible. What if they... So
it makes sense to me.
The cows then, like, what are they mixing cows and humans? Because I think that would be funny.
Maybe that's, yeah, I don't know. What would that be?
I don't know, but I guess we'll find out here soon. And once they drop it back off,
yeah, the next cryptid comes along.
Yeah.
So that same year, in 1997, a biochemist on the NIDS team named Colm Kelleher said that he saw a large humanoid creature crouching toward the top of a tree, and it seemed like it appeared that it was spying on them. The next year, in 1998, apparently a lot of the activity died down, and all of the team would experience, and all
all that the team experienced was strange lights hovering above the property. But nothing seemed frightening or threatening to them. The team stayed and attempted to collect as much data as they could, but by 2004, so 6 years went by, the research really wasn't amounting to anything. So they ended up shutting the project down at Skinwalker Ranch. By the end of it, they had countless photographs of the strange lights that they saw around the property, as well as documented proof of the cattle that had been mutilated. They also had documented eyewitness reports of all kinds of strange experiences that happened on or around the property. So that was as of 2004. So you might think, well, who owns it now? In 2016, the property was purchased by Brandon Fugel for $4.5 million.
Wow.
And since the property had been completely blocked, and since then, the property has been completely blocked off from all access. All roads leading in are blocked, and there is 24-hour surveillance on the property. So no one can even approach the property without the security team knowing about it.
Yeah.
Strange experiences that have happened in the Basin. Okay, so we're moving on. So that's pretty much, I don't want to say the end of Skinwalker Ranch, because I'm sure there's more, and there's a documentary where they're still finding things.
Yeah.
So I super recommend that. But I want to go on and talk more about just the Basin. So Skinwalker Ranch sits in what's called the Uintah Basin. And I talked about it a little bit in episode 1, a teeny tiny bit. A lot of people say that the whole basin has activity. People that live there, people that have visited there, people that camp there, you name it. People that just travel through, they say that they've experienced some weird things.
Yeah.
Reports of UFO sightings have been recorded since at least the 1970s. Residents who live in the basin say that they will see red orbs and apparitions of Native American spirits. On the Utah haunted...
The Native American spirits make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because that was their land, you know?
That was, yeah, for sure. Man. Don't you feel like, I don't know.
feel kind of like an asshole that I live in their land.
Like, don't you wish that we could just I don't know, give it back somehow? But like, how? You know?
I mean, like, we're now in this space where we're like, everyone's, has homes.
Like, we're established, like.
Yeah, and all we give them is a reservation, and it's like, no, they deserve more than that.
Like, they need their own, that we don't own it, Anyway, I wish there was a fix. I really do. There is a fix. There has to be. Anyway. So on the Utah Haunted History Facebook page, I saw several comments on different posts of people claiming to own property or know people who own property in the basin and near Skinwalker Ranch. And they say that before they even knew the strange things that happened on the ranch, they were having their own experiences and having that creeped out feeling, and like they knew something was off even before they knew about Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Someone commented and said that when they were a kid, they would drive their four-wheeler on a trail that goes right past Skinwalker Ranch, and said that one time they felt like they were being chased by an unknown entity as soon as they went onto that trail.
Oh my gosh, that's freaking scary. To feel like you're being chased.
Mm-hmm. And not knowing what you're being chased by.
Right.
Local ranchers have made the same claim as the owners of Skinwalker Ranch, that their animals have gone missing and then turned up minutes to days later completely mutilated. A commenter on the Utah Haunted History Facebook page said that they lived about 2 property lines over from Skinwalker Ranch, and said that their property would randomly have holes dug up in the ground, but too large of a hole that one animal could do it by themselves. And it was also done in such a short amount of time that there was no explanation of how these holes were dug up.
Huh. Like a sinkhole, maybe?
No, like it's dug. Like there's earth moved out of the way, dug.
Okay.
Another commenter said that, so another commenter said that they grew up in the basin and said that during the summer, they would sit outside and watch the lights in the sky and didn't realize how that wasn't normal until they moved away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, isn't like that one really got me because I'm like, that would be so bizarre just to be like, oh, look at those lights. Like you just think it's
It's just
whatever. And then
normal, and it's not.
yeah, then you like you move somewhere else and you're like, where's the lights?
Yeah,
You
what
know?
happened to the lights? And they're like, what lights? You're like,
Yeah,
what? That's
right.
crazy.
A commenter, also on that same Facebook page, named Adam T, said that one time they camped out on the sagebrush in the Uintah Basin, and said that let's see, one time they were camping alone, and so that they experienced hearing the sound of children's voices in the wind. And then
That
they
is
saw,
so creepy to me. That's like
yeah,
Children of the Corn freaking psycho.
right.
Oh,
Well, and it kind of reminds me of like the frick, what is it called? The water babies. You remember how like they kind of like imitate baby sounds
yeah.
to make you go near it?
Yeah.
What if it's like children noises to like try to like beckon him into a certain area?
Ugh,
Ugh,
I don't like that.
I don't either. He also saw an 8-foot tall figure standing off in the distance as soon as it got dark.
Yeah.
Their vehicle doors kept opening and closing on their own, and they saw strange lights in the sky. There are also several comments about how there's frequently strange noises like humming around the basin, and no one can ever figure out where it's coming from.
Huh.
Sorry, I just need to scroll down. Okay. So I read a story on the Utah Haunted History Facebook page. Someone said they were driving through the area when the radio began to cut out and became staticky. Then he heard a voice come over the radio that said, "Pure evil."
Ugh,
Then the radio came back on as if nothing happened.
that's
Well, another commenter said that they grew up in the basin and said that during the summer, they would sit outside and watch the lights in the sky and didn't realize how that wasn't normal until they moved away.
oh wow.
Yeah, isn't like that one really got me because I'm like, that would be so bizarre just to be like, oh, look at those lights. Like you just think it's whatever.
It's just
And then
normal, and it's not.
yeah, then you like you move somewhere else and you're like, where's the lights?
Yeah,
You
what
know?
happened to the lights? And they're like, what lights? You're like,
Yeah,
what? That's
right.
crazy.
A commenter, also on that same Facebook page, named Adam T, said that one time they camped out on the sagebrush in the Uintah Basin, and said that let's see, one time they were camping alone, and so that they experienced hearing the sound of children's voices in the wind. And
That
then they
is
saw,
so creepy to me. That's like
yeah,
Children of the Corn freaking psycho.
right.
Oh,
Well, and it kind of reminds me of like the frick, what is it called? The water babies. You remember how like they kind of like imitate baby sounds
yeah.
to make you go near it?
Yeah.
What if it's like children noises to like try to like beckon him into a certain area?
Ugh,
Ugh,
I don't like that.
I don't either. He also saw an 8-foot tall figure standing off in the distance as soon as it got dark.
Yeah.
Their vehicle doors kept opening and closing on their own, and they saw strange lights in the sky. There are also several comments about how there's frequently strange noises like humming around the basin, and no one can ever figure out where it's coming from.
Huh.
Sorry, I just need to scroll down. Okay. So I read a story on the Utah Haunted History Facebook page. Someone said they were driving through the area when the radio began to cut out and became staticky. Then he heard a voice come over the radio that said, "Pure evil."
Ugh,
Then the radio came back on as if nothing happened.
that's freaky.
A commenter in the group also said that he lives about 2 to 3 miles away from Skinwalker Ranch, and said that one morning he found his 500-pound anvil at the top of his 400-foot. Gosh, let me reread this. I'm sorry. One sec.
I know it's like harder this time for some reason.
Yeah. Okay, so a commenter in the Utah Haunted History Facebook page said his uncle lives about 2 to 3 miles from Skinwalker Ranch and said that one morning he found his 500-pound anvil at the top of his 40-foot tree with absolutely no explanation of how it got there.
Huh.
Which I'm thinking, how could a tree hold a 500-pound anvil? Anvil? How do you say anvil?
Anvil.
Anvil.
I don't know.
Anyway, travelers who have driven through the basin have claimed to have seen a man with a wolf head standing on the side of the road, but we'll see him in a blip of a second and then he's gone. People have been spooked when camping at a nearby reservoir. People have been spooked when camping at a nearby reservoir, so much so that they packed up and stayed the night at a hotel in a nearby town, which I wonder if that was the reservoir that we stopped at.
I think it might have been because that looked like it had
probably
little
was.
camping spots or pavilions or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's where our freaking audio stopped working, right? No,
No, we were driving. Yeah. Because you told your story while we were driving like normal, and then we switched, and then I told my story while we were driving.
You're right. Where did it stop recording at?
It stopped, we were driving, but I don't know where we were.
Oh.
So we were recording episode 19 at the reservoir.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'd think that the audio issues would have been during that one instead of the other one.
Yeah. But do you remember me saying in episode 19 that, who was it? I can't remember who it was, but in the documentary I watched, in the very beginning, they said, they're like, I think there's more experiences that people have had that they haven't told anybody about or that we don't know about, because I think that whatever is here follows people home.
Don't tell me that.
I know. So anyway, that's where my thoughts went. I'm like, did they like what if the aliens followed us and they're like, crap, we can't let them leave with this story, you know?
They were so interested in what we were saying.
Or they're trying to delete it. Like, don't.
Oh yeah, just stop.
We'll do you a favor.
Maybe that's why our freaking recording thing is being stupid.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we're getting the story out.
So, strange experiences that have happened outside of the basin. It's a great segue for that. In the documentary, I didn't say it in episode 19, I'm saying it now. In the documentary on Hulu, it's called Extraordinary Beliefs. I knew I said it at one point, but I guess I said it
during this one.
Yeah. So people who have visited the ranch have had things attached to them and followed them home. He says he believes that there are people who have had experiences after leaving the ranch, and those stories haven't been shared yet. There is a town about 1 hour southeast of Richfield, Utah, which is in south central Utah. It's called Teasdale, Utah. And I saw a post on the Utah Haunted History page, and this story was of a possible Skinwalker encounter. The person telling the story didn't say where they were exactly, like if they were at home or if they were out in the wilderness camping or what, but they said they woke up to an entity standing over them. It looked like a Native American entity or a Native American man based on the way that he was dressed. He said that this man looked at him with pure hatred in his eyes and described his eyes to be a yellowish red color.
So
he
orange.
Said the man, yeah, I guess so. He said the man was shirtless and he was shirtless and had long black hair that was mangy and matted, and it seemed like he had campfire soot smeared across his face.
Huh.
He said that his body didn't seem quite right, though, because this man's limbs seemed like they were elongated and disproportional to his body.
Weird.
And he had a Joker-like grin on his face.
Nope.
Yeah. Isn't that creepy?
That gives me such uneasy feelings.
Well, and to have like a Joker like grin, but hatred in your eyes
is
you know
sinister. Like that's so scary.
like
Did you just cross your eyes?
yeah, that's
Is that
how I
you show hatred?
Ugh. Yeah. Ugh, I'm so mad.
We're gonna have to get a still of that face and post that to Instagram. This is Katie's hatred phase.
Yeah, so if you see that, watch out.
Oh, that's funny.
Also, there's been weird encounters at Topaz Mountain. Some people compare the experiences that are described at Skinwalker Ranch as happening to them at Topaz Mountain. I read a story from a person named Ashley P. said that her mom was camping there one night and they heard something outside of their trailer and it sounded like it was trying to get inside. Ashley said her mom got her gun out and was so freaked out that they had the gun pointed at the door the entire night.
Oh, wow. That's scary.
Yeah. I read a story of someone saying that they were walking outside one night when they heard what sounded like someone had chimed a triangle, like, those little triangle. And he said that the ringing of the chime went on for what felt like forever. And then suddenly a small circular object about the size of a bird flew from out of nowhere super fast and circled around him a few times and then flew away. And then that ringing noise stopped.
It's like a drone.
Yeah, kind of, huh?
But a circle.
Yeah. And then making that sound.
Yeah.
Weird. A commenter named Ernie T says that he owns a property about 20 miles away from Uintah Basin and says that the area is riddled with UFO and Bigfoot sightings. He said that a lot of the locals around the area believe the UFO sightings and the Bigfoot sightings are somehow connected, which we connected it as well.
Yeah, we did that, not you.
Yeah, don't take our credit. To this day, there's still no definitive proof as to what could be causing all the strange experiences, but the NIDS team, the Sherman family, and the locals of Uintah Basin can pretty much all agree that whatever it is seems to be always one step ahead. And also seems to be in control of what is happening and is also able to make it so you don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, I couldn't cover everything. There are a lot of podcasts out there that cover Skinwalker Ranch, as well as TV shows, movies, documentaries. So just do a quick Google search and you'll find something if you want to learn more. Currently, there's a documentary being filmed on the property called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and you can find that on the History Channel. And that's my story for episode 20.
Nice. So creepy, though.
Yeah.
Just the unknown of it is what is scary, I guess.
Right. Like, I don't know. Ooh.
I don't know.
Did we talk about this last time where it's like, would you feel better not knowing that there's aliens or feel better having it be confirmed and like a thing that everybody is just like, yeah, aliens. They're here,
I feel like I would want to know.
Yeah, I remember this conversation now because I feel like I feel better not knowing, in a way, because I think that if I knew that there were aliens, like 1000% government
confirmed, yeah,
everyone is just on board, I would be so nervous because it's like, what are they capable of? Like they could just incinerate us
almost.
Yeah, right.
But I feel like I would want to know just because I want to.
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Just like I want to know like the answer to all the cold cases. I want to know like just because I feel like I like to have the facts. I like to have the whole picture. And then I know that I don't know.
But wouldn't you just sit there and think like, what are they planning? Like, what are they doing? Wouldn't that just like send you through a whole spiral of like, what are their intentions?
Oh, maybe, but then it also would be like if they showed up and started whatever, then I'd be like, I knew this was going to happen, not what? What a surprise.
Yeah. See, like to have knowledge to be prepared.
I would have no idea how to prepare for that, but just mentally that they exist and that it's possible that they could do something, I feel like is better than just not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain my thought process about this.
Well, it's just hard to wrap your head around it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so weird because it's like if you believe in ghosts, I don't know. Like it really sends you through what do I believe in? You know?
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, all of these things send me through a whole like existential crisis because it's like
if there's a God, then this. If there's not a God, then that. You know?
well, like it's like, okay, if I believe in ghosts, that means I believe in an afterlife. But if the afterlife is just coming back to this place, just no one can see you or talk to you, then that sucks. And then it's like, okay, well, if aliens are real, then like, what's their afterlife? What's their like, who created them? Why?
But you remember, it's our goal to become extra, right?
Yeah. So they're extraterrestrials. So are they our afterlife?
But then why would they why would they have so many questions about us? It's like, shouldn't you already know?
Well, then
you went through the training course.
But then maybe we are the extraterrestrials and they are the basic terrestrials.
Oh, so like we are their afterlife.
Yeah, but then that sounds stupid. Yeah. Because they're way more
heaven, alien heaven,
technologically advanced. So like,
yeah. What if this is alien heaven and then our heaven is the next step, and then there's a heaven after that?
But then that's a whole lot of freaking lives. Like
But that would explain why the universe is so big. So we got to go to different worlds, you know? Like, what if the aliens figured out that they can go to different heavens? Like what if that's what it is?
But I wouldn't even classify it as heaven. I would classify it as another life. Like,
I guess that's what I mean. Like your next life, you know?
Yeah.
It's on a different planet.
I have to say the idea that like you live multiple lives sounds unfair and exhausting. You know, that means there's no end.
It's like waking up from a dream multiple times.
To be in a new life and then you just keep going. So what's the end? Are you just going to continue coming back to a life, or are you
want there to be an end?
Yeah, because man, life is hard. You know,
but it's great. You know, like you don't want.
But then you would expect there to be a peace at the end. Like you went through all this hardship for something. You know, like you're being fulfilled going through life and experiencing things and whatever. But don't you?
But maybe there isn't a finish line. What if it's just like a loop, like a track, you know?
Yeah, but isn't that like Groundhog Day? Isn't that freaking torture? Are we in hell if we have to go through like constant life?
I don't know. See, I'm afraid of death. I'll be honest. Like I'm scared of death. So like I would hope that it keeps going, you know?
It doesn't end.
Yeah. Like I don't want there to be an end. I want to go do more, you know?
Yeah. But would you want to go do more as a new person?
Sure.
Without like, that's the thing is I think, okay, well, I have these cute little kids. I have my husband.
Yeah.
And so
I
then
see your point.
Going to a new life, I lose all of those people. I do gain more people, but then I just feel like what a loss to not have those people in your life anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know,
that's
if I was living this same life over and over again and I get to experience like my kids growing up over and over again, I do think that would be kind of nice because you miss out on all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then that's also kind of sad because then you're like, okay, but then what's next?
Right.
Like you would hope that there's peaceful, not an end, but like, have you ever seen The Good Place?
No.
All the way to the end?
No.
Okay. So just to sum it up, because it's not, I mean, So how they structured a new heaven is that like you live your life and then you go to heaven and you get to live in this heaven experience for as long as you want to. And then when you feel like you're at peace and you're ready to be done, then you get to go through this door. And when you go through that door, you just become a positive moment in someone else's life. So like on earth. So like you get to be like a positive influence or a good feeling to someone that you loved on earth.
Oh, wow.
It's just a very interesting way to look at it. I thought it was really cool. And like, I feel like that would be a really, because then that way you get to choose when your paradise is fulfilled. Like you feel
right. Yeah. Jeez.
Anyway.
No, but like thinking about just paranormal and supernatural, like it really makes you like think about like, what the heck do I believe? You know?
Yeah.
That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. Well, because you can question anything, like, you know, like just even if you think there's a possibility that there's extraterrestrial, whatever. Okay, well then what does that mean to your belief system? Does it add to it or does it completely crumble it? You know? Right. It's so crazy.
Yep. Exactly. Crazy. And then if you don't believe in aliens, then how would you explain it? You know?
Well, how would you explain all these weird things?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to episode 20 of Haunt and Cult.
Yeah.
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Although we're getting rid of Facebook.
Yeah, because like no one uses it.
No one interacts. Yeah. Okay. So you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. We are going to be posting this video onto Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, you get to watch this.
Yay.
So thank you. And thank you for being a Patreon member, by the way.
Yes. Also, when it comes to Patreon members, I have a whole bunch of stuff I'm sending you. It just takes me a while to put it all together. So it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. But definitely if you like never receive it, let us know. But please, you'll get it. Definitely if you have your own personal paranormal, true crime, even supernatural experiences, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
You can go onto our website at hauntandcold.com and submit your story there. Just make sure to mention if you want us to be reading your story or if you want us to like do a Zoom like this and just like interview you about the story and get your own experiences about it. Just let us know what you would prefer. And yeah. What else?
That's it.
Okay, that's it.
Happy Memorial Day.
Oh yeah, happy Memorial Day. Is Father's Day coming up or is that going to be for the next episode?
On June 19th.
Okay, so the next episode's on June 12th. So we'll say happy Father's Day next time.
Right.
Okay. Well, have a good Memorial Day. Have a good summer break. Drive safe. Don't drink and drive. And
okay, bye.